G'day guys, and today Shorty and I are going to have a discussion about Richmond up against the Cats at the MCG. It was certainly an interesting contest in the end. A lot of people sort of thought the Cats will get the job done pretty easily, and I think that's what you might have said, mate.
Yeah, I was fairly confident.
I thought it'd be a tough contest, but the Tigers just didn't quite get the job done in the end. They went down by 5 points, and credit to them, they played really well, and yeah, I mean, you could almost say the scoreboard flattered them in the end, getting 2 quick, junk time goals. But no, they completely deserved that scoreline, if not deserved to win the game, because Geelong weren't really that great. What were your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, talk about falling over the line sort of thing. They, I don't know. I mean, after such a good start, Geelong, played like millionaires. I felt after a good start. I don't think they paid Richmond enough respect after, sort of quarter time and that. And
Yep.
It was obvious Richmond were trying to play that short style game in the wet, which was interesting. But yeah, they sort of butchered it early, which cost them a few goals, going both ways. But once they got their running game going, Alice, Conker, Martin really tore us up, and they really worked back into the game. But, Geelong looked pretty sluggish and their intent wasn't quite there. But what were your thoughts on the game, mate? Because obviously it wasn't Geelong's A game at all.
No, they were pretty ordinary in it, and it had a bit of last week about it against Port. It felt like I was watching the same game 2 weeks in a row, but except the scoreline sort of worked in our favour. But really, the only reason why Richmond lost is they just lack that polish, don't they? So
Exactly.
Obviously a quality team like Port, they ripped us to shreds really. So there was a bit of a class difference there, but yeah, it just seemed, and again it was another problem, just the ball on the outside, the uncontested possessions. You could just see when Richmond were on a roll, they were getting the ball in the hands. Like Sean Grigg, I thought was really good too. I reckon that's probably one of the best games I've ever seen him play. I watch him play all the time, but
he was impressive, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Alice got him back into the contest as well. Martin got the ball in his hands. Cochin was okay. And I thought basically after they sort of got a few half chances, and they made the most of them in that sort of second quarter, and got themselves back into the game. And full of confidence, they just climbed their way back into the contest and competed really well.
Yeah, spot on. I mean, you could sort of feel once they did sort of start to believe that they could come back against Geelong, the crowd lifted and their confidence lifted, and they came back really hard at us, and really, they probably could have stolen the match in the end there. I mean, like you say, it was watching like last week again. It was the same faults with Geelong's lack of speed over the ground and their, ability or inability to actually get clear of the clearance. The clearance stats isn't that bad, but to actually get clear possession and stream out of the middle, given it was a wet day, but they couldn't really do it to advantage. And as you say, it was probably just the Tigers' polish that stopped them, especially early. And we found out last week that sort of footy isn't going to cut it against top sides, and we got towed up last week, and probably were lucky again this week to just fall over the line in a big game for the Tigers.
Yeah, I think their intensity was sort of based off that they needed to win this game, and it's got a bit of when we had to play Brisbane last year, and we, fell over the line, won by a point. It was a dead rubber game for us, but they're a mediocre side, Brisbane, even last year. And
they had
just
plenty to play for in that
plenty,
game.
plenty to play for, and same with Richmond today. So a few isolated incidences, but a few key areas to address most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will make mention of is I was disappointed was, there was a lot of talk that Geelong was seething after last week's loss, and they wanted to bounce back and in particular really make a physical contest out of it, something that Geelong do really well with their big body players, and it just didn't come about. I mean, I'm not sure what happened there. All the talk was they had a chat to Steve Motlop throughout the week, and he was saying that, the training has been physical, they were going to come out and be physical, intent, really bounce back, and I didn't see it. I mean, it didn't really come to the fore at all. I'm not sure whether that was coaching, whether that was just the players on the day, but that was disappointing, because I really expected, it wasn't arrogance or anything, but I really expected a pumped up Richmond, but an equally pumped up Geelong.
Yeah, you would have thought. there would have only been about 3 or 4 occasions over the last sort of 7 or 8 years that they've lost 2 games on the trot.
Yeah.
Obviously, 2009 and probably 2011. I think they lost a few back-to-back games, but one back-to-back sort of loss over the 2 weeks over those respective seasons. But so that's sort of our analysis of the game. Who do you think sort of who got in your top 3, mate?
Yeah, my top 3. It was again. It was a fairly tough game to give votes. I thought there was
again
there were quite a few good performances, but there was no real standout. But I gave my 3 votes to Steve Johnson. Had the 29 touches, 13 in the first quarter. He was fantastic early.
He was great,
Yeah, really used the ball well and got Geelong going pretty well. And I thought he was our best. I gave 2 to Harry Taylor. I made mention to you last week that I thought that was probably last week one of his poorest games for the club. And he certainly bounced back well. He killed Tyrone Vickery and took plenty of marks. I think it was 13 and many of those intercept marks. And he was fantastic. But I thought they were definitely the 2 best. And the one vote, a bit of an interesting one considering he was quiet for the most part, but I gave it to Joel Selwood because I thought without him, I think we would have lost. I mean, he was quiet the first 3 quarters, which he has been of late, but I thought his last quarter was just outstanding. I think he had 8 or 9 touches, plenty of tackles, the crucial first goal, and in the manner he did it, just burst through the pack and led from the front, slotted the goal. I thought he was fantastic, and while he was quiet for a lot of the match, I think if he wasn't out there leading the way, he was one bloke who really started to answer Richmond's challenge. And I'd think if he wasn't playing, I think we'd be sitting here talking about a Geelong loss. So
good call, yeah.
Yeah, but who do you think was? Did you give your 3, 2, and 1 to?
Yeah, well, they're sort of pretty similar. I mean, there's a few sort of standout players. 3 votes went to Stevie J. Obviously, had that blistering opening term and just sort of was industrious and creative as he always is, and it offers so much strife through the midfield and kicked that second quarter goal, which got us out to a reasonably handy lead. And it was relatively consistent over the 4 quarters. A bit quieter sort of in the second half. I think Dan Jackson might have been on him for a little bit.
Yeah, played well, didn't he, Jackson?
Oh, he was fantastic as well. One player I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
2 votes to Harry Taylor as well, so we're pretty similar here. Harry, as Shorty just said, took 13 marks and a lot of intercept marks. You just know when Harry's going well is when he's reading the play, taking a lot of intercept marks and just really offering some stability down back.
Yeah.
And he was sensational down back. And I gave 1 vote to Tom Lonergan. He's a bit of an unsung hero here.
A bit of a different one.
Very different, and he did butcher it a few times, but when he did, he made amends, and he was relatively solid down back, and his disposal use was pretty good and pretty confident from what I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
There's times where I've been pretty nervous to sort of have the ball in his hands, but no, he was reasonably composed, and I thought he did a great job on Jack Rewell.
Yeah,
he still did okay, but I thought Tom was pretty deserving that 1 vote.
Yeah, definitely, and probably a couple other guys. Duncan was pretty impressive, and
Murdoch again.
Yeah, Jordan Murdoch was another one who was another good player.
Absolutely. So it's the chopping block time, mate. Who are we calling the chopping block this time?
I hate to get stuck into George again, but
oh boy,
he's on the chopping block again, George Burberry. I rate the kid. I think he's got heaps of potential, but I said it last week and I'll say it again. I don't think he's quite up to it at the moment. He just, again, he gets opportunities and he just doesn't quite take those marks. And he just doesn't quite give that quick handball or finish that goal. Walking into the game today, I really thought, it was conditions and a sort of game that he could maybe impact, given there'd be plenty of time when the ball's on the deck, but it just didn't happen. And just looking at the VFL results, sort of Jordan Schroeder was our best for Geelong, and he must be very close and could be a swap for Burberry because he's been given plenty of lifelines and he hasn't been impressive.
No,
so
absolutely not.
I really think that move needs to be made after the bye. And another bloke I think would be Jackson Sheringham. He hasn't been terrible.
No,
it wasn't his best game today, but I think with Mackie coming back, he may be one to make way for him. But he's been serviceable. And I think Dawson Simpson, who was subbed off, he was pretty poor early, But I just think maybe Simpson, for a bit of, structure, I think we're really lacking another key forward. Hawkins got, monstered with 3 on him quite a bit. I think Josh Walker needs to be given another go. I rate him as well. I think he's a good player and worth persisting with. He was, he's decent last week and a bit harsh to get dropped. I think, McIntosh can ruck more often. Walker goes forward. It allows Blitzarves to share the ruck rather than being a sub. And it could potentially help with our lack of speed, seemingly. And hopefully, release a runner and hopefully just add one less ruckman on the ground, I guess. So there are a few guys who I think are on the chopping block this week, and I guess we got the bye this week. But they could be a few changes in the Cats side, I think.
So that's 3 weeks in a row. Is it for Georgie?
Yeah, it is for Georgie, but I think it's warranted. I mean, you don't want to whack the same guy over and over, but Chris Scott and the boys are giving him a chance, and he's not responding. And it might be best. He may find his way back into the side later in the year if he goes to the VFL and finds a bit of confidence. But I think for the moment, you got to reward a guy like Schroeder, who's playing good footy clearly.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be worth the go, just switching it up and certainly trying that different dynamic in the forward 50.
So there's a few of the blokes on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Next week, obviously, Geelong have the bye, which comes at a pretty handy time with Mac a bit injured, and they'll give him another week to sort of give him a rest.
Yeah.
But obviously, the week after is the game we want to talk about. We'll be up against Fremantle Patterson Stadium. Freo had a good win against West Coast, in another Derby Classic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was a classic or not. I didn't like to see the game, but there wasn't a heap in it. I think it was about 19 points. But
always close.
Yeah, so that'll be a huge game, and being at Patterson's hasn't been the greatest ground for us. Obviously, in the last couple of years, we've done okay against West Coast there, but I think the last time we defeated Fremantle there was round 2, 2011. So and we've played them there maybe once or twice since then. So it's been a little while since we've beaten Fremantle there, and they're sort of getting back into form, but a few injuries hasn't really helped them.
Yeah.
I guess they haven't helped us either, but. We don't want to sort of harp on our injuries too much. We don't like to use that as an excuse.
Yeah, of course.
But I think Fremantle will probably beat us, assuming if we play if we play against them like we played today. I think even Melbourne could have beaten us the way we played today. But I think Fremantle might get the job done there. It'll be a huge game though, and it will certainly say a lot about both sides. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, Dockers seem to have their mojo back a bit. They've been pretty inconsistent so far, but like you say, if we serve up what we served up today, we might get a nice little lesson over at Patterson's. But I think our pace that we've mentioned throughout a couple of shows has probably been shown up the last couple of times when we play Freo on the big stadium, and they even beat us obviously in the final. But
at home.
Yeah, exactly right. So. And that'll help when we get Christensen back. But I think the Dockers, I'd have to agree, they're going to be pretty tough to beat. And they are sort of getting back into a bit of form there. So they're going to be a tough challenge. I mean, you're never quite sure with the Roos beating them. And you're never quite sure what they're going to get. But Geelong's intensity and around the footy is going to have to pick up for sure.
Yeah, so there's some thoughts from Shorty and myself on the game with Richmond and Geelong. Shout out for my mate Darijoe, who does the Geelong Goal videos each week. Go check out his channel for some vintage Cats highlights. And like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to us because we like you guys and delivering this beautiful content. And I'm sure we'll see you guys all soon.